Alright, what is going on today, everybody? Today I'm trying to bring you guys something just a little bit different here. So for the moment, I just have the Nocta Simplex with me. This is a machine we're going to be using to kind of give you an example of what I'm talking about here. But today I wanted to make this video because I had a few misconceptions when I first got into the hobby of metal detecting. One of them was thinking that in the areas that I was hunting, I needed to go as deep as I could possibly go, right? So when you think of a metal detector, you think the treasure for the most part is deep, right? Well, not always. I'm going to say that I'm sure there is some deep treasure in my area, maybe in some older locations where it's had time to settle down, maybe even at the beach, you know, the waves and stuff, they wash up and take sand, add sand, things can go pretty deep, right? Anyways, I wanted to make this video to explain to you that actually the majority of the gold and really jewelry I found metal detecting has not been very deep at all. I don't think always that you need the deepest possible machine. I think what is more important than that, at least what I've learned, and for my type of metal detecting, keeping an open mind is more important than how deep your coil can go. Because I want to show you a couple of these items here. I have a bunch of different pieces of gold here. And the thing about gold is, number one, there is no magic number for gold. When I first got into the hobby again, I was kind of trying to familiarize myself and figure out like what does gold sound like on a metal detector, right? I want the gold, baby. I'm after the gold. So what I realized, actually, it took me a long time to figure this out after watching a bunch of people's videos, after digging probably 1,000+ nickels without finding any gold. Because I don't know if you guys have heard, but you hear a lot of the times gold sounds like a nickel, right? Or, you know, that might be a common number that gold comes in at on your machine. Say the Simplex, that might be 30 on your Target ID, or the Minelab machines, that might be like 13. Well, let me just show you real quick a couple of these gold rings here. I just dropped one. All right, we're gonna go from, you know, we'll start with the smaller ones and then we'll jump up higher to the slightly bigger ones, I would say. So let's close this up. I have probably one of my smallest gold rings down there on the ground right now. Let me just show you real quick the Target ID and the tone of this thing right here. So if you're familiar at all with the Simplex, 2021 on the old Simplex. If you guys have ever used it, what usually comes up at 2021 on the Simplex, huh? I would say for the most part, that's going to be your scrap aluminum foil, right? So this is a very small, I think this is even a kid's ring probably. I found this in a playground. This is a 14 karat gold religious ring. It's got a cross in the middle and it's even got a little tiny diamond chip in there. So what was that, 2021 on the Target ID? Yeah, let's just move on to the next one here. And I do have some aluminum foil that I might also throw down to just show you like the comparison between the two. But we got an ambulance or something coming. I hope everybody's all right. So here's two more very small ones. I think this one is 10K right here. Tiny, tiny ring. And then this one is a 14 karat ring with a couple little diamond chips in it. Let me just throw it right on top here. And look at that bad boy. Oh, we got someone coming up on us here. He's interested. Can you guys see the Target ID on that one? 1920. Another just prime foil number, man. I bet you a lot of you guys probably never dig those signals, and I don't blame you. Just because the majority of those signals out there are scrap, you know? So, all right. On to that one. That was the 10K, even lower than that other one. So let's get on to this one. Slightly bigger, but still a really petite women's gold band here. Throw that thing down there. Again, another common one on that small gold there. 21, man. 21 on the Target ID. So much aluminum foil reads up in those numbers, man. I think on the Vanquish, this one would read up as a 7 on the Target ID. So I'm not telling you to chase these target IDs when you're out there hunting, but what I'm trying to do is remind you why it's important to keep an open mind and not always think that, you know, those low scale numbers are scrap. So here's another one. This is a 10K gold ring here. It's got a little tiny diamond chip in the center. Check out that target ID there. See that one? It's starting to go up a little bit. That's because the rings are starting to get a little bit bigger now. But that one's 22 on the target ID in park mode. Field mode, 22 on the target ID. So let's keep going down the line. And I want to even show you, I have some really small gold too. So maybe we'll do the really small stuff before we do the big boys here. But I actually have here's another thing that I wanted to keep in or take into consideration is the shape of these objects, the size and shape, and carat, obviously. That's a big one too. Throw this one down for you guys real quick. You guys are probably getting bored on this one, but I'm sure a video like this could help someone out there, you know, someone who just doesn't know what to dig, doesn't really know what to do. You got to keep an open mind to these signals out there, you know. Gold grill on the target ID, 27, 28, 29, and kind of bouncy too because of that shape, right? 28, 30, that's getting closer to the nickel range, right? So 30 on your target ID on the simplex, 30, 31, that's usually your nickel, but still below a nickel. So decent, couple grams, nothing too crazy. But that thing, man, whoa, almost just lost all the gold. That thing, man, that thing was down there for a long time, considering how crusty and black it got. So before we get into these two big ones here, this is one of my most recent and best gold finds that I've gotten. I want to show you these really small ones here too. I found this thing in the dry sand at the beach. Throw him down there, however he wants to set in the sand. And again, 1920 there, everybody, on the simplex. Those low target IDs, I'm telling you, are very, very common gold numbers. Sometimes I even think that smaller gold is more common than the big, thicker stuff. So your common gold might actually ring more identical to a piece of aluminum foil than it does to like a nickel or a pull tab. So I got a couple more in here. I don't know if I'll test them all. This one's a perfect example of why you should consider digging the pull tabs. This is a really a nice chunky ring. It's marked 10K on the inside. And this is probably only like one of maybe 3 men's gold rings that I found. I find mostly like little women's petite ones. But you got to keep an open mind to those big signals too, you know. Like, listen to this thing. This is a prime example, man. 35, look at the target ID jumpiness. If you are basing your hunts off of digging just the solid tones, the solid targets, I don't think you'd be digging this one up. 37, sounds kind of good, but then it's bouncing up into like 45. Pull tabs sometimes will be jumpy like that, you know. They're not going to be like a super solid tone. So that's the old pull tab ring, man. That's going to be the one that's going to reward you for digging up hundreds and hundreds of pull tabs. But you have to realize there's a lot of different rings, and I'm sure pieces of gold jewelry that also read around in that range. I just haven't really found them. So I have dug, I can say I've probably dug thousands of pull tabs, and this is like one of my best rings that has come from that range, you know? So I haven't found very many gold in those pull tab range. You hear that a lot, right? If you want the gold, you got to dig the pull tabs. Well, I'd say if you want the gold, you're going to have to dig some of the aluminum foil too. This is just a small sample size though as well, you know? This is not a telltale sign on what you should or shouldn't dig. But always for me, it's about just keeping an open mind and kind of using what I know in the areas that I'm hunting. So like if I'm hunting a modern park where there's tons and tons of aluminum foil everywhere, I'm probably not going to dig every single one of those signals. Even though it could be gold, my odds of finding gold in an area like that are very low. But maybe if I'm at the beach, like next to a volleyball net or down by the wet sand, I'm gonna try to dig a lot more of those very, very low signals, you know, because my chance is probably gonna be higher that it is some gold compared to some aluminum foil. So here's another really good one. Like I said, this is my heaviest gold ring by far that I found. I found this gold ring no more than like 2 inches under the sand. So this is definitely a semi-fresh drop for somebody. But that's another reason why you don't always have to have the biggest coil and the deepest coil, is because a lot of the times, beaches at least, it's a lot about consistency and persistence out there as compared to going, you know, 15, 18 inches deep. A lot of the times you just got to be the guy that swings over that area at the right time, you know? So, sorry if I'm rambling out here a little bit today. I wanted to try to maybe inform some of you beginners out there, pass on some of the stuff that I've learned so far. So, big, huge 14 karat gold ring right here. Chunky one, man, like 7 or 8 grams, I think. Throw him on the ground there. Now, look at that target ID right there. 62 on the target ID, man. 61. Because I think actually what the number is on your target ID is a conductivity scale and not necessarily a scale of silver reads high and gold reads low. There's a lot more to that, you know? I always wonder too, like, what does a gold bar read up as? What does a gold ingot sound like under the ground, man? You just never know unless you get out there and do some testing, or at least dig up a bunch of signals, and maybe one day you'll find out. But so, hey, if you guys enjoyed this little short kind of, I guess I would call it a slightly informative session out here, let me know if you learned anything, or if this kind of reminded you why maybe you should keep an open mind. Let me just remind you though that for these little pieces of gold here, like for this little golden earring here, I had to dig hundreds and hundreds of pieces of aluminum foil before I even came close to this baby. But if I didn't dig those pieces of aluminum foil, I would have never found this. So it's kind of up to you guys to figure out what's worth it to you. You know, how much energy do you have that day? Is it worth fighting all these signals? It's just, metal detecting is cool because you can choose a different way to go about it every day, you know? I always like to remind myself there's really no right or wrong way to do it. It's just about getting out there and doing it, right? So, yeah. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to leave me a comment down below. Maybe hit it with a thumbs up if you liked it. Feel free to hit it with a thumbs down if you didn't like it, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. So, thank you for watching.